Nick, thanks so much for joining me. Man, I forgot I was on Zoom today. I would have shaved or maybe got a haircut or something, but we appreciate you joining us anyways.
I mean, I'm not looking too fresh either right now. So,
So you're at home in California?
yes, I am.
Yeah, is that where home is? Yeah. So what
Yeah.
do you got? What do you got going on the plate? What's happening with you guys?
A lot's gonna happen the next couple of weeks. Tour announcements and just what we're gonna be doing the rest of the year. A lot of that. A lot of mixing for the album, finishing up all of the mixes for the record, and it's exciting. A lot of. It's good to be busy.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably good to be busy again because last time we talked to you guys was over the Instagram and all you guys were there in the band, and now of course we're I don't know if we're coming out of the pandemic or not. Things seem to be getting a little bit better. Have you guys played on stage? I saw you had some shows booked in June. Did you guys play those shows?
Yeah, no, we've played a ton of gigs this year. We
Okay.
played that entire tour with Dirty Honey, which was spectacular,
Yeah.
and we played a couple festivals. In July, it was a lot of fun. Did a rock fest and what was the other one? Oh yeah, Upheaval Festival in Michigan, the first one there, and that was a lot of fun. So we've been around. We've been traveling and doing all that.
Yeah, that was the festival in mid-July with Rob Zombie and Pop Evil and those kind of guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to get out there, but yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, that was the first like big like festival. You guys got a couple really big things coming up here with a Hellfest. I saw, man. You guys really have a good year ahead of you, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be. Hopefully, this time we get to go.
Yeah.
Because third time's the charm, man. Because this is the third time we've been scheduled to play those fests, so we're really hoping. Because all we've ever wanted to do is go over the pond and play. And we're getting closer and closer to that goal.
Yeah, last time I saw you guys was opening up for Slash over in Canada, and that must have been a fun tour. But yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys had played or not, but I guess you guys have. How many gigs you think you have under your belt since like the pandemic broke or whatever?
Just so far, probably. Let me see. I think it was 20 with
Wow.
Dirty Honey, and then a couple of rent. We had a couple one night stands during that tour. So 20, 20,
So you have a few.
20, 30. I'll say 30 shows total.
All right.
Yep.
So yeah, you were on that tour, okay, with Dirty Honey with the guys before they went off and started the Black Crows tour.
Yeah, right before.
Gotcha. What do you think of the comparison with you guys and Dirty Honey? Obviously, you guys are kind of like kind of cut from the same cloth.
I think it's if all the bands, they're probably the closest thing to what we do. I think
Mm.
that's fair to say.
Yeah, and of course, being from Southern California, four-piece band, straight ahead rock band, it's like you got all the markings of with those guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a lot of cool synergy there. That was actually a lot of fun. That's probably the most fun I've ever had on the tour.
Hmm. Yeah, those guys are good guys. So you got this song out now, Fearless. So tell me about the upcoming record. Like, how far are you into it?
Oh, it's done.
It's finished.
It's done. It's been done for a while now. It's just been about getting the mixes right, getting each song personality to shine the right way. And we're really, really adamant about getting things exactly how they need to be, especially on this record, because it was really the first time we had a large amount of time really to focus on a project like this. And you know, I think it's I think people are going to be satisfied, more than satisfied, because I know I
Us.
am. So
Yeah. Well, hey, I guess you guys are the ones that have to be satisfied more than anybody. But you talk about like having a lot of time to record this record, and you're not alone in that sentiment with a lot of other bands and stuff. They've had all sorts of time to record. So, what kind of stuff influenced you, or perhaps influenced your writing or music during the pandemic?
there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I can only speak for myself personally. Obviously, there's three other components that are missing here. That would probably say a ton of other stuff, but for me, it was a lot of not rock and roll places. I mean, that's what it usually seems to be the case. Like I listen to really honestly is everything, including rock and roll, but I listen to a lot of different stuff, like anything to get my mind out of the the everyday, and classic rock and rock and roll music is forever embedded into my skull. So there's no lack of influence there. But I think the things I was listening to, I was listening to a lot of world music, a lot of music in different languages, because I I I like the way that a melody is constructed in a foreign language because the languages don't accommodate for how an English melody works. Like if you've ever heard like a foreign version of like another song, like if you heard like your favorite song in Spanish,
Mm.
it doesn't exactly, work, and things change, and there's different ups and downs and turns, and so a lot of world music for me and a lot of like alternative stuff. Like this band Young the Giant, who I've loved forever, like I revisited and listened to everything they were doing. I'm always listening to Motown, and I'm always listening to Otis Redding. I during the pandemic I was just binging discographies. Like I listened to every song Stevie Wonder ever put out. I listened to just consistently more and more and more varieties of things, anything to take my mind out of the usual.
And so, do you think that some of that uh, ended up between the grooves? I guess, as we'd say.
I'd imagine so.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd think so.
yeah. And
uh
you mentioned Stevie Wonder, of course, right here in Detroit and Motown. So
yeah, I mean, and I spent my time in the pandemic relearning how to sing, essentially. And I think people have already pointed out that, like, you sound a little different
what do you mean?
on
I don't understand what you're
this.
saying. What is that supposed to mean?
I relearned how to sing.
What was wrong with the way you sung before?
I didn't like it.
Oh, really? So
I wanted to improve myself. I wanted to be better, and with the help of a wonderful woman named Melissa Cross, she helped me take it to places I was definitely not able to do before, and it's been very fulfilling for me, because I'm all about being, then everything I do, I want to be farther and farther and farther away. I mean, higher up. I want to continue to improve myself until I plateau, whenever that is. And hopefully, if I continue to work diligently, that doesn't happen for a long time. Like I want to just keep taking it and pushing it, and I want to be better every single time. I don't want to deliver the same thing.
now, this is probably an obvious question that you've probably been answered before, but what kind of singers do you look up to?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's always like the obvious ones. I mean, like, like Freddie Mercury and Chris Cornell and people like that. But also, I love, I love crooners, man. I grew up with jazz music, and I love the way that like Frank Sinatra can deliver a song. There's a particular way that he can do it that no one else can, and people try, but they just can't. There's just something about the man's uh, charisma that
I was just going to say,
infuses
yeah.
into his tonality. That, and then obviously there's like, I love Celine Dion, and I love a lot of I love Sia. The She's fantastic. If you've ever heard that woman sing live, she's spectacular, and she has this emotionally charged voice, and a lot of female voices as of recently, I mean, I think have really been what I looked at, because I love the clarity in a lot of voices like that, like because I was born with such a low, muddy voice, so I guess I'm attracted to these clear as a bell tone singers, and the nuance, like I love everybody from Julian Casablancas as a vocalist to Luciano Pavarotti,
Mm.
so I love vocality as a subject. I'm always fascinated by how somebody can develop that tone, and especially like it's like a dude like Brian Johnson from AC/DC, for example. the guy sounds like a pirate when he speaks, but when he sings, he sounds like somebody dropped a bus on his foot, like so. There's a lot of interesting things there. Like, how do you do this? How are you able to do that? And again, people like Robert Plant, obviously, and countless others. James Mercer. Like sometimes there's a beauty to like a Bob Dylan who can somehow capture the hearts of billions while not technically being a great singer. Sometimes they say delivery is more important. So or George Michael, or I could go on forever, or Otis, or Percy Sledge, or I could name, I could go forever. I mean, like even people like Billy Corgan, or again, who don't have traditionally like uh like oh like
Right.
trained voices, but their voices just capture exactly what they're trying to convey, and they mean it. And sometimes, to me, meaning it is more important than being traditional. Like there is a time and a place for everything, but if you can't back up, especially if you're a songwriter, if you're writing the lyrics, if I don't believe you, if I don't believe the things you're trying to say, that's more important to me. If I believe you, then I'm already in. I don't care if you sound borderline unorthodoxly terrible or something. Sometimes that just works.
Well, you nailed it with Bob Dylan for sure. And Frank Sinatra, I was just watching this documentary on Jack Daniels, and you talk about charisma. And of course, Frank always had his Jack Daniels and stuff, and it kind of builds into the whole thing. So all those people you just talked about, are they kind of like in the back of your mind when you're recording your stuff for the new record?
I think it's like studying for a test. But it's like, again, except I'm always cramming. I'm not cramming the night before, I'm cramming every single day. I think I think Tony Bennett said it, where he's like, if you steal from one person, you're a thief, but if you steal from everyone, you're an artist. you know and to finding myself was really important in this new record, and especially on Fearless. I think for the Fearless is like the first time I think anyone's really heard me doing my thing, and it's me, and I feel like that's me.
Mhm.
And and all of that listening that I've done, is like, all as you said, are they waiting in the wings? Are they in here? My head's full of voices. No, help me, take me out of my misery. Um, it's all in there because at this point, it's been so many years of me doing that I feel like I finally have developed something that is my own fingerprint, as opposed to me trying to channel certain people. I feel like I don't really do that anymore. I feel like I've listened to so much, and I've done this long enough now, that everything is more of like, okay, this is what I would do, what I want to do,
Mhm.
you know.
So tell me about the rest of the record. Tell me about the growth of the band, like maybe some of the subject matters you may have touched on, the sound, any covers on there, anything like that?
No covers.
No. Okay. All right.
I think we're done with covers. We did the cover, we're good.
Yeah.
Uh no, going on to what you actually were asking me. uh there's a We're a completely different band than any, like, in our previous releases. We had a lot of time to think about it. We had a lot of time to kind of be like, what exactly do we want to do? How do we want to feel? How do we want to be seen and heard? And a lot of that was extremely fundamental to what the album is. And without the pandemic, it would have never been this way. We would have never made this album. And we went out to Joshua Tree National Park, and we stayed out in a little place there, and there are rats in it, and it wasn't exactly, this, the inn and suites,
Right. Right.
it was kind of grungy, but I think that actually made it pretty good, in a way, because a lot of great songs came out of it. I mean, as far as subject matter, I mean, from my standpoint, I wrote my biography. I think that's how I'm looking at it. Like I wanted every song to represent a point in my life up until now. And Fearless, I wrote about when I was a little kid. I used to be kind of a daredevil, and I still am. But I used, there used to be these flags at the beach, right? And if it was red flag, it meant the waves were enormous and really dangerous, and
Mhm.
you're not supposed to go in the water. And I'd be 5 years old, and I would sprint into these giant waves and get, put in the washing machine because I thought it was fun, you know. And uh, much to, my parents not loving that, but of course, what kid listens to their parents really? Not any good kids, I'll tell you that.
It
But
sounds like you may have listened to your parents a little bit with you seem to be the kind of person that grew up in a musical household.
I did. I mean, I listened when I felt it was appropriate.
My kid does the same thing, right? Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's funny how you're talking about waves and stuff. We're here in Detroit, and I grew up in Buffalo. Like I kind of know what you're talking about, but we never ran into waves out here. It's like,
Yeah, I always know I'm a California kid because I'll do this. People like see this in TV and stuff and whatever, but like somebody pointed that out to me on the last tour. They're like, "Oh, you're from California." I'm like, "How did you know?" And like, "Cause you do this." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that's a California thing, a
that's
West
a,
Coast."
that's a hang loose thing or
Yeah,
whatever.
hang loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just. I mean, I grew up with surfers, and like I wasn't really much of one myself or anything. And when I skated, it was just to get down the street. I
Right,
wasn't
right,
like
right.
doing tricks, but I hung out with those kinds of people, so that that just it's just something that sticks. But anyways, eh, as far as the musicality of the record, the guys are you know it was all about, I think, rediscovery and kind of falling in love again with what we do, and our respective corners of the band. And that's kind of the cool thing I like about us being a four piece, is that we all kind of have our corner, and there's a responsibility to each, I mean, every one of us, to bring our very best to this thing, and it's great. I mean, I I know that I can speak for the others. Like, we've never been so proud of something,
Mm.
and Fearless is just the warm up. Fearless is was just like, it's just the taste, and
The
I'm
appetite.
very excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Well, any word as to when this record drops?
Early next year.
Okay, so no
No
definitive
hard date yet. No hard
any
date yet.
any title you can give us or no? Not
No.
yet. Not yet. By the way, next year you're going to be on Hellfest, like we were just talking about. You got Bush and Stone Temple Pilots, Mammoth, WVH. You're going on tour with them. That's going to be pretty cool. I'm sure a lot of those guys you looked up to growing up.
It's always surreal. I mean, we've been so lucky as a band because we've met a lot of our heroes, and people always say don't meet your heroes, but I have nothing but good stories. So, I remember at the first festival we ever played, we met Corey Taylor, and we actually have video of him watching us from the side stage, rocking out to whatever we were doing. And Greg was the one who actually noticed on stage and was like, like, because it was the first time we'd ever played outside of California, and we're playing this big festival, and there's and it's cool because he's so friendly and nice to us. And if you would have told me when I was a kid that I would know Corey Taylor in that capacity, you know be pretty nuts.
Yeah, I got to do a live panel with him in front of a bunch of fans this coming Saturday out at a convention out here. So I'm looking forward to that. Uh,
He's such a cool guy. But again, everybody, Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters, Billy Idol, uh, Queens of the Stone Age, Stone Temple Pilots. I mean, everybody that we've met has been nothing but cool to us and super supportive. I mean, the people we've toured with, Deep Purple, were absolutely astoundingly kind, and the same with Buck Cherry and Slasher Miles Kennedy. Miles Kennedy inspired me. He inspired, like, I hadn't been inspired like that since I was a kid, when I saw Elvis like on TV and stuff. Like, I was always selling merchandise when we were on tour with Slasher Miles. So one night, the merch place was closed off, so people weren't out there. So I actually got to go and sit and watch in the balcony.
Mhm.
And I saw how Miles performed, and I was like, that's the level that I want to be like. He really did inspire me, and he said some things to me that really put some wind into my sails. That was a long touring year, and he really kind of made me like lift myself out of that. Like I love Miles. He's a hero.
Yeah, Miles is a great guy. And speaking of that show, when I saw you with SlashNet, the one thing I remember watching Miles was like, it's so easy for this guy. It's so simple. He hits these notes, and it's like he's not even trying.
That was the whole thing, man. I saw how I mean, that's what made me reconsider everything. Like I was saying earlier, it made me want to be better. He made me want to be better. I wanted to be that level. I wanted to see how far I can take myself. And he really is a catalyst, for why I wanted to do that.
Yeah, and plus he was in Rockstar, so there's that too. So
Yeah. He's got the pedigree. I mean,
that's
he's
right.
he's he's absolutely unbelievable. And you know, I hope that somebody tells him that from this, or I see him again, I'll tell him myself that he's an incredible inspiration to me.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll look for the new record. Of course, Fearless is out. You're going to be on tour. I'm sure you'll be around the Motor City at some point. Not
Yep.
exactly sure when as of now, but Nick, thanks so much for your time and safe travels and get that house fixed or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, we'll do, man. Thank you. Quick little story. I'll add this. The reason why I do stuff like that is because when we first started playing festivals, uh, everybody was telling me, is like, they need to remember you. They need to remember you. All of these failed musicians here, like the older musicians in my family or whatever, like they need to remember you. And I'm like, okay. So I learned how to do front flips and back flips, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. Okay, I learned like a week before the first festival in Wisconsin, with the one where Corey was watching, and and then I was just kind of like, I need them to remember like this. We're just this band that they've never seen before. So that's when I started like scaling objects, and it peaked at Las Rages Festival in 2018 because that stage was like 6 stories high, and I wear like slippery leather shoes so I can dance better, and I went I went all the way to the top and then hung by my feet, and then the promoter guy, the production manager, came on stage and kicked us off, and cut our set. But everybody was, I mean, no offense to the guy, like he had every reason to do this, so I'm not giving him crap or whatever. Like, so people were throwing,
Oh, they were throwing stuff
they
at him.
started throwing stuff at him, and
Oh my
it was
God.
kind of like, and then I got escorted by security off the premises. They cut my wrist. They dramatically cut my plastic festival artist wristband off, and then I just kind of laid on the sidewalk for a couple hours until the guys showed